by accident. They do it after learning something about you. You reply fast, you stay available, you explain everything, and slowly, without noticing it, you teach people something dangerous. You teach them that access to you has no cost, and humans rarely value what feels unlimited. That is the game Machiavelli understood better than most people ever will. Power is not only about strength, it is about controlling access. The people who look important are not always smarter, not always richer, not always better. They just understand one thing: scarcity changes behavior. And this is where most people lose power without realizing it. They confuse being available with being valuable, but those are not the same thing. Someone who is always present slowly becomes invisible. Watch what happens in real life. The person who replies in 5 seconds gets ignored for hours. The person always trying to help becomes taken for granted. The person explaining every feeling becomes emotionally predictable, and predictable people are easy to replace. That is the uncomfortable truth. People protect what feels rare, not what feels free. So Machiavelli's 7 power tricks are not really about manipulation. They are about understanding how humans assign value. And once you see the pattern, you stop moving through life emotionally. You start moving strategically. The first trick is controlled access. Most people think fast replies show respect. They don't. They show availability. There is a difference. When someone learns they can reach you anytime, your presence stops feeling special. This happens everywhere. Friendships, dating, workplaces. At first, people appreciate constant attention. Then they adapt to it. Then they expect it. And finally, they stop noticing it completely. That is how value disappears, not instantly, gradually. A person who is always emotionally available becomes emotionally predictable, and predictable things stop creating tension. Now watch this carefully. This does not mean ignoring everyone. That is where most people get it wrong. Machiavelli never said disappear. He understood something smarter. Controlled absence creates psychological weight. A delayed response creates curiosity. A calm pause creates uncertainty, and uncertainty pulls attention. One person speaks all day and gets ignored. Another person says little and controls the room. Why? Because silence creates gravity. People lean toward what they cannot fully read. That is power trick number 2. Emotional restraint. Weak people react instantly. Strong people observe first. When someone insults them, they explode. When someone insults them, they explode. When someone ignores them, they panic. When someone changes energy, they chase explanations. But emotional reactions reveal dependency, and dependency kills authority. The calm person always looks stronger because they are harder to control emotionally. That calmness creates psychological distance, and distance creates value. Most people never notice this. The person with the most control in the room is usually the person reacting the least, not because they feel nothing, because they understand exposure weakens leverage. A man gets left on read once and starts double texting. Another sees it and continues his day normally. Who looks emotionally expensive? Exactly. And people always respect emotional discipline more than emotional hunger. Now here's the part nobody notices. People say they want consistency, but that is only partly true. What they really want is emotional tension, not chaos. Tension. That is power trick number 3. Strategic unpredictability. If people can predict every move you make, your emotional impact drops. You become mentally automated. They already know when you reply what you will say, how you will react, how much access they have. And once humans fully predict something, curiosity dies. This is why many people slowly lose respect after getting close to others. Not because they became worse, because they became fully readable. There's a reason people pull away after getting too much access. Mystery disappeared. This happens in conversations all the time. Someone talks less than usual. Suddenly the room pays attention. Someone changes their routine slightly. people notice immediately. Scarcity sharpens awareness. Availability dulls it. And this leads to power trick number 4, strategic silence. Silence makes people reveal themselves. Nervous people rush to fill quiet moments. Powerful people let silence work because silence quirks pressure, and pressure exposes truth. Watch an argument carefully. The weaker person usually talks more, defends more, explains more. The stronger person stays calmer. Shorter answers, less emotional exposure. Why? Because silence forces the other person to emotionally carry the interaction. That shifts the power dynamic immediately. This is where most people lose control. They speak too quickly because silence makes them uncomfortable. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is observation. And observation gives you information emotionally reactive. People never notice. Now comes the trap that destroys authority faster than almost anything else: over-explaining. This is power trick number 5. Most people explain too much because they fear misunderstanding, but hidden underneath that fear is something else. Fear of rejection, fear of losing approval, and people can feel that immediately. The more you explain, the less powerful you sound, because certainty does not beg to be believed. Think about the people who naturally command respect. They rarely defend every decision. They say what needs to be said. Then they stop talking. That silence creates weight. Meanwhile, insecure people keep adding words, trying to convince everyone, trying to remove tension, trying to control perception. But every extra explanation quietly communicates anxiety. A worker explains every small mistake to the boss. Another simply says, "I'll handle it." Who sounds calmer? Who sounds more trusted? Exactly. Confidence sounds simple. Fear sounds detailed. And once you understand this, your behavior changes completely. You stop trying to win every emotional trial. You stop explaining your value to people determined not to see it. And suddenly something strange happens. People begin respecting your words more, because fewer words create more impact. If you want to understand human behavior without illusions, Illu Codex was built for that. Not motivation, not noise. Just the patterns people ignore until they lose power because of them. Now let's talk about attention, because this changes everything. Power trick number 6 is emotional economy. Your attention is currency. Most people spend it like it has no value. They give energy to everyone. Every argument, every notification, every opinion, every emotional distraction, and then they wonder why nobody values their presence. Because value depends on selectiveness. Think about wealthy people. They protect time carefully, not because they hate people, because unrestricted access destroys importance. The same thing happens emotionally. When you give everyone full emotional access, your attention loses psychological weight. And humans instinctively respect selective investment more than unlimited generosity. This is why emotionally disciplined people often seem more attractive. Their attention feels earned, not automatic. Most people chase attention. Powerful people observe where their attention goes. That difference changes everything. A person desperate for validation gives energy constantly. A strategic person invests attention carefully, and people feel that difference immediately, without words, without explanations, without effort, because behavior always speaks first. And now the final trick, power trick number 7. Become emotionally expensive, not cold, not cruel, not fake, intentional. There's a massive difference. Weak people think power comes from controlling others. Real power comes from controlling access to yourself, your time, your attention, your reactions, your emotional availability. That is what people truly respond to, not loud confidence, not fake dominance. Controlled access. The moment people realize they cannot fully control your attention, your value changes psychologically, because humans chase what feels difficult to secure. This is why people suddenly respect you more after distance. why silence creates curiosity, why emotional discipline creates attraction, why constant availability destroys mystery. You were taught that being endlessly available makes people appreciate you. But reality often works differently. Unlimited access removes tension, and without tension, attention fades. So stop trying to be constantly understood. Stop trying to always be reachable. Stop trying to emotionally convince everyone of your worth. Most people lose power because they keep placing themselves on sale emotionally, available all the time, explaining all the time, reacting all the time. Cheap access creates cheap perception. And this is the final realization. Respect is not emotional, it is behavioral. People study your signals, your reactions, your restraint, your silence, your availability. And from those signals, they decide your value, not consciously, instinctively. When did you notice people treating you differently after you became less available? And what changed your life more? Giving more attention or taking it back? Because in the end, Machiavelli understood something most people still miss. Power is not about forcing attention. It is about becoming difficult to access emotionally. You were never ignored. You were just too easy to reach.